the 20 plus years of being a professional wrestling fan, one of the things that I've noticed is that there is no one more hateful to professional wrestling than professional wrestling fans. And like, to a degree, I understand it. It's human nature to be the most critical about the things and people that you love. And the reason for that is because it is something that you love, it's usually something that you hold to a really high standard. So when it doesn't meet that standard, you become very critical and sometimes start to sound a little bit hateful. So today, I've given you, wrestling fans, the opportunity to finally air out these grievances because I asked you on Twitter what your biggest professional wrestling pet peeves are. I picked out a whole bunch, so we're gonna go through these pet peeves to see if it's something that bothers me as well. I do these types of videos every once in a while, so if you want to be part of the next one, make sure that you're following me on X. The link is in the description of this video. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna like this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. And hey, if daily wrestling content isn't enough, consider checking me out over on Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap, where you're gonna get even more wrestling content like my Monday Night Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, NXT reviews. All of those are usually 20 plus minutes, but you're also going to get my Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early. So all of this and more, go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. It'll be the top link in the description as well as the link in the pinned comment. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. All right, let's read your stupid shit. But first, let me give you my biggest professional wrestling pet peeve because I should also get the opportunity to be able to air my grievance. Far and away, my biggest professional wrestling pet peeve is when a referee takes 1,000 years asking, "Are you sure? Are you sure about that?" when somebody wants to cash in a Money in the Bank briefcase. Like, my dude, this is an important moment in time, and you're just sitting there like a complete idiot with your mouth open, asking me 700,000 times if I'm sure. Are you sure? This? You want to cash this in? Right now, you're gonna confirm right now that you're cashing this in. You're gonna go into the ring. I'm gonna go in with you and we're gonna cash this in. I just wanna make sure there's no misunderstanding. Actually, can you first confirm that you're not a robot by completing this CAPTCHA? Please and thank you. Are you sure? Certain? Right now? We're cashing this in? Are you sure? I just don't know if you are sure. That shit needs to end. It is the most annoying professional wrestling trope ever. It happens every time. Look, if Damian Priest were watching this video, I guarantee you he would agree because this is the reason why all of his cash-ins have failed. All right, now let's get into yours. Babyfaces getting their asses beat the whole match, but getting up at 9 in a last man standing match, then win with one finisher. This is a common complaint of mine for last man standing matches. I think it's like the biggest problem with them because the only way to beat a babyface in a last man standing match is to literally saw them in half or to do some BS like cover them in like 50,000 tables and chairs like Brock Lesnar had to lose versus Roman Reigns. It's annoying because yeah, the heel is doing all of these brutal things to the babyface only for the babyface to continuously get up at 9. And yeah, you're right. It typically is like one finisher and the heel is done. It's just a match type that always just by nature favors the babyface. And more often than not, the babyface almost always wins last man standing matches. I'm gonna be honest, I think it was John Cena that made last man standing matches horrible because of his whole gimmick of never give up, never stay down. It made them just too formulaic. PLEs having multiple main events. It ruins the spectacle and the aura of that last match being a true main event. It's a lazy attempt at booking and trying to sell tickets, in my opinion. In the defense of the WWE, it seems like they have stopped doing that because they were doing that a lot for PLEs after WrestleMania 39. They did it for Backlash, they did it for SummerSlam. It was admittedly very annoying, and you're right, it does take away from the aura of the match that gets to go on last. And I do think that we all sort of see through it. Like to us, the main event is the match that goes on last. Just calling the opener a main event just isn't gonna sell us on that. Like, we probably already think that the match is important. Calling it one of the main events, I don't think adds any extra special aura to it because we still only see the last match as the main event. The overuse of the super kick. It causes the move to look very weak and can only look good when certain superstars do it. Again, I'm going to rush to the defense of the WWE here, but I do feel like they've gotten better about not abusing the super kick. I feel like the super kick is still very overused in professional wrestling as a whole, and especially in the independent circuit. However, the WWE has a new super kick, in my opinion, and that is the suicide dive. The suicide dive is getting ridiculous. It appears like 7 times an episode on Monday Night Raw, and it's even worse over on NXT. So we might be seeing the new one of these, the new super kick that's getting abused. What? Chance to those that are actually trying to cut good promos together. Look, I agree, and I'm gonna add an extra layer to that. I despise the what chant whenever somebody's cutting a promo not in English. Like, that's just, it's rude. And I know the purpose of it is to be rude, but I don't know, man. To me, it feels gross whenever it's done to a foreigner. But yeah, I'm with you. The what chant whenever there's like a serious promo going on is super annoying. I think like the version of the what chant these days is Seth Rollins, whoa, which borderline ruined the Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor promo battles because you couldn't hear Finn Balor. Like, I'm okay with like fan engagement and what chants ultimately, but you need to read the room. Like when the heel or the babyface is cutting an impassionate, important promo, there's no room for what chants. When refs get easily distracted during matches, why can't you just ignore the wrestler trying to distract you? I'll tell you why. Because we are forced to believe that referees have the IQ of a brain dead monkey. That's the only way. Because yeah, this is ridiculous. There's just no way around this though. Like, I feel like this is just a trope of professional wrestling that's gonna be there probably until the end of time. This is awesome chants for matches that have been okay at best. I like that this is awesome chant. I do think that it's been a little bit overplayed. Hell, I even think that WWE now has a show called This Is Awesome. I did like the This Is Awesome chants when they were more organic, same with like the Fight Forever chants, but it does feel like sometimes they're a little bit forced, and I'm kind of convinced that sometimes they're just kind of piped in and there's no one actually chanting This Is Awesome. Because you're right, sometimes we hear This Is Awesome chants for matches that are like okay. When wrestlers have crazy beefs and then a few months later they're tagging with each other like nothing ever happened. Look, I don't mind it if there's a narrative that explains why they've come together. I think they did a pretty good job of that with like Sheamus and Cesaro when they had like their best of 7 series and they ended up becoming the Bar. So sometimes it does work, but in the Vince McMahon era of booking, we were all treated like idiots. Like, we couldn't remember anything that happened more than a month ago. So they would just like completely ignore the fact that these people just hated each other 3 months ago and now they're homies. In today's landscape of WWE, that does tend to happen less, which is nice. Never really liked the escape the cage rule set for a steel cage match. Kind of glad to see the majority of them end in pinfall or submission recently. Yeah, I'm glad that they've made that change because the escape rule actually didn't make any sense if you think about it, because usually the whole reason, and this is how they hype it up, oh, these two guys or these two girls, it's just gonna be such an explosive bout of hate that the only thing that could contain them is the steel cage. We need to keep everyone away from them and let them fight it out. Only for the heel to spend like 50% of the time trying to escape. It's weird. It doesn't fit the narrative. Like, I get it. Like, whoo, he escaped, he's gone, whoo, he bamboozled. But it doesn't fit the narrative of the usually the feud that's been building up to that cage match, you know? Canadian destroyers, honestly, pile drivers in general. That move should always be ending matches outside of big matches. Don't watch AEW. There are Canadian destroyers galore. However, the Canadian destroyer has been kind of making the rounds in WWE with the likes of Dragon Lee, so the WWE isn't particularly innocent in this regard, but AEW is significantly worse with this. The crowd singing Seth's song when someone is trying to cut a promo. We just talked about this. Dude, they were so bad for Finn Balor. Like, I get it. I love fan engagement, fan interaction. But again, just like the what chant, read the goddamn room. Know when it makes sense and know when it doesn't. I don't know if this counts, but I wish the main event matches wouldn't go to commercial breaks. I sell TV advertising for a living, so I know why they can't do that, but a man can dream. Yeah, I mean, that would be obviously like best case scenario, and maybe it is a possibility that we could see a world where this happens in the event that Amazon purchases the rights to Monday Night Raw and it only airs on streaming networks. So You know, I'm just saying there is a potential future somewhere down the line where this actually could become a reality and no longer a dream. How long it takes them to climb ladders in a ladder match. A 90-year-old could get up the ladder faster. Yeah, sometimes when they're a little bit too obvious with trying to create like artificial drama, it does look very, very bad. You want to see the worst example of this? Go watch, I think it was the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 22. Bobby Lashley trying to climb the ladder. It took him like 3 minutes to climb up like 3 rungs. It's a bad look sometimes. Super long title reigns. I'm talking like Roman's because there's a point where it starts to get stale and it's hard to move it along without the same matches and outcomes. It becomes predictable in a way. Ugh, Gracie, you must not like professional wrestling at the moment right now in the WWE because it seems like these long title reigns are starting to become the norm. We got Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley. Of course, we have Gunther on a historic reign. Seth Rollins is getting up there. So it's starting to become more the norm to have these ridiculous long title reigns. I don't mind long title reigns. I think I mind it more when there's multiple titles on long historic title reigns, because if they're all historic reigns, are any of them really historic really at this point? So if there's like one title having one of these crazy long reigns, I'm okay with it, but that many titles, no. Whenever a referee just yells at the wrestlers outside to get in the ring instead of counting them out. I mean, yeah, you're kind of right. It is one of those things that breaks the reality of the situation, makes you remember, oh yeah, that referee has an earpiece and obviously he can't just end the match in a count out when it's not scheduled to end in a count out. But yeah, I guess I see where you're coming from. But again, it's one of those wrestling tropes that needs to be there at all times. When the ring announcers say this match is scheduled for 1 fall and the crowd replies, 1 fall. Why do you hate that? No one's getting hurt in that. I don't know, man. Some of these are starting to demonstrate that some of y'all just don't like fun. When the champion comes out first in a title match. This happens very rarely, but when it happens, I instantly notice and it instantly bothers me. I think the last time that this happened, that at least I can remember, was the SummerSlam women's triple threat match between Asuka, who was the champion, who came out second, and Charlotte and Bianca Belair, who got to come out third. And she got to come out third because she was holding a bottle of C4 energy drink, so she was dancing with I guess not a bottle, a can of C4 energy drink as a sponsored spot. It's like, really? We're gonna disrespect the champion like that just for a C4 ad spot? Kevin Patrick on commentary. Dog, I think this might be just about all of us. Apparently even the WWE, there was like a news story that I was seeing circulating that the WWE is kind of on like last straw with Kevin Patrick, seeing how he performs without Michael Cole, and that he really needs to step it up because Kevin Patrick really does not have fantastic timing with his commentary. Like he just sometimes says like incredibly obvious things like, oh, that must have hurt, like 3 seconds after it happened. And if you go watch matches on SmackDown, sometimes like it'll just be dead silent and you'll just hear Corey Graves being like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do your job here, Kevin Patrick. Like Kevin Patrick, he still needs a lot of work. I'm a little confused as to how he's on a lead commentator role on SmackDown still. Refs in an I Quit match saying, do you quit? Or shoving the mic in the wrestler's face all the time. But like, that's the match. Like that's like being mad at the referee counting a pin. We want table chants in normal matches. Again, why? Who's getting hurt here? Hey, some of these, y'all are just not fun. I do not want to hang out with some of you. Wrestlers taking 600 years to grab the title or the Money in the Bank briefcase. Dude, facts. These wrestlers act as if like the briefcase or the title is under like some sort of super secure combination lock that they have to try and unravel and decode to try and get this, when it's a hook, it's a pin, just clunk, just take it off. Not letting Samantha Irvin have her way with intros. For example, the Chelsea Green change. I mean, we can't just let her have her way with intros. I mean, there's got to be some sort of rules. Imagine if Roman Reigns was coming out and she goes, Roman Reigns. Actually, I wouldn't hate that. That would be hilarious. I do see where you're coming from. I'm more annoyed about the Chelsea Green change, but she can't just have full autonomy to do what she wants. Referees getting a slight hit and pretending that they just got run over by a truck. Yeah, this is one of those professional wrestling tropes that's been there forever and it's probably never gonna go away. Some referees can sell that shit like they got hit by a truck, but man, sometimes it's like dude, they just breathed on you and you've been out for the past 10 minutes. Like, come on. You still got chants at wrestlers that are either been gone for a few months due to injury or gone for a few years but continue to wrestle in other promotions. Yeah, I think this happened with Mickie James a few years ago when she came back and people were chanting "You still got it" chants. And same with Sting. It's like, dude, they were in TNA wrestling for the past like 5 years every single week. Just because you don't know that doesn't mean that you think that they've come out of some sort of decrepit retirement and deserve to be told that they still got it. I'm sure to some degree that's got to insult the wrestler that's been like, dude, I've still been wrestling every fucking week. Whenever a surprise return appears and the commentators wait until they can see the return approach and say, "Oh my!" Yeah, and you can add the, "Is it? Can it be? It is!" Submission finishers not being used as often. I feel like nowadays submissions are almost exclusive to submission matches entirely. Dude, to this day, I still point the finger at John Cena because of this. Because for some weird reason, along the time that John Cena started becoming big, there became some sort of like trope that tapping out made you some sort of little bitch, that you were lesser than if you lost to tap out compared to losing because you got pinned. I mean, you're looking at the Attitude Era. I mean, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho were making everyone tap out, even like Stone Cold and The Rock. Like, no one was immune from tapping out, but John Cena came along, the never give up mantra, and all of this all of a sudden changed it so that like if you tapped out, you were lesser than, and I hated that. And I think that that stuck to this day, where like that just seems to be some sort of stigma around tapping out. When WWE spoil a big name return weeks in advance, they used to be really bad at this because they were ratings chasing. They were wanting you to tune in for that show because you knew that that new or returning superstar was going to be there. Back in the Ruthless Aggression era days, the Attitude era days, ratings were just always good, so they could have these awesome surprises. But especially in the late 2010s, it's like Goldberg returns for the first time in 15 years next week. It's like, why? All right, hopefully you guys got that out of your system and we can go back to loving professional wrestling. Let me know what your biggest professional wrestling pet peeve is. I'm actually really excited to read what you leave in the comments. All right, but that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.